Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome to the PivotBoss Closing Report for January 20th, 2016. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We saw significant downside expansion. Remember, yesterday's pre-market report, I talked about any push into the previous highs here was going to likely lead to a selling opportunity. Any overnight rally is to be offered for a shot at new lows into the downside targets here. We had 1811 to 1814, and we reached those targets today on a huge continuation lower after bears defended the 1879 quarter key level with perfection there. But once price bounced into this zone here, we saw a reversal back up, a significant tail, if you will, and then price closed back above the 2-day lows there, 3-day lows, or right above that zone. And that's very important there. This is the most significant bottom that I've seen so far during this downtrending market, and there's been lots of proposed tails throughout that time. And what that tells you is we could have found a near-term bottom and our swing move here, our key range. The high here just above 2072s. You got the low right here near 1805s. That gives you a midpoint somewhere around this LV in here at about 1939.5. That's going to be the midpoint of the range right now. And what I would say is look for bulls to defend a pullback into 1846 or as low as 1830 for a shot at seeing a defense of that zone for a return back to value at 1921 and the midpoint of the range at 1939. I think that's the highest probability opportunity right now short term, and that's what I think could happen here. If bulls are able to defend that first pullback, we have this CLV in here. We'll see how price plays out, 1846. If that area holds as an LVN, that could offer an opportunity to reverse this to value and higher. Once price reaches the midpoint, we'll have a key range that's in effect that gives us key levels within the range and extensions outside of the range, very similar to this range here and how it allowed us to forecast the move to these targets. Now, if we take a look at the wider view of this range here, you can see this is a third in the series of pullbacks that have resulted in major swing moves. So this was a major sell-off, the biggest sell-off we had seen in some time, and a swing low developed like this that led to a charging rally. The same thing happened here where we had a significant sell-off, the biggest seen to date, and that also led to a charging rally eventually back toward recent highs. And right now we're seeing the same thing, perhaps an even more vicious decline here to begin the year, the biggest ever to begin a year, and now you're seeing some sort of defense here off of value. I talked about before how value went offered up top, and then value it returned price to a previous HVN and this lowest one, and now it's tested each of these peaks, and now bulls are defending this one staunchly at the moment. So I'm spending a lot of time on the ES here because I believe this could be a significant swing low that leads us back to the 1921 to 1939 zone, and a shot to see what happens further from there. How that key range develops will be very important, but this could provide an opportunity to swing this thing all the way back and recapture the entire losses we've seen since those 72s. If we drop down into the lower time frame of the ES for a moment, this was important in our trading room today where price went offered at this zone. We were looking to see how bulls had defended this support level for time and time again, and I mentioned that these lower highs were important. We looked at the footprint chart. The order flow showed aggressive buyers becoming absorbed, and the downside break was likely to happen. We forecasted 1817 and 1805 as the likely downside targets. The first one was hit right away, which we then talked about a potential bounce into 1830 being defended for a completion of the move into the 100% target. It played out perfectly. After that bounce, you see the significant reversal that ensued. Again, any pullback into the recent key zone here could offer an opportunity to defend and get this thing much higher back to 1900 and beyond. If we take a look at crude oil continues to decline lower. We have our next downside targets at 27.25 and 26.77. So those are the next two downside targets to reach. This thing's in free fall. There's nothing really more to say about crude other than you have to continue to sell the rips. Every time it bounces, you got to sell it. Like right now, there's a little bit of selling pressure, rather buying pressure that came in after the initial selling pressure, and this could lead to a little bit of a bounce back to 30.14 here, and then you're probably going to see that get whacked again and drop down. So nothing much to say other than we're going to continue trending lower in this one until proven otherwise. Let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ, like the ES, has a significant tail that has developed. We saw the swing sell-off here begin right here off the 4700s, and boom, it's been straight down until we saw this recent low on this session, and then price slingshotted all the way back up over 100 points back to new highs, and that was significant. I mean, there was 187 points of range today. That's 138% of average. So it's huge. With even despite all of this major volatility we've had, this is still 138% of average daily range. So that means it's 38% greater than average over the recent volatility streak, which tells us we could have reached a lowest low point right now in the chart. And what that means is you can see price closed well back above this CLVN and back above the previous week's low, which was right here. I would say a pullback into that previous week's low, which is about 40.75s. That offers an opportunity for bulls to defend at the CLVN for a shot at seeing a move back toward the midpoint of this range. The midpoint of this range, eyeballing it probably somewhere around 4,400. So we could be looking at a quick snapback. I would say at least toward these highs here. Let's call it 43.65 to 4,400 as a major snapback reaction. What happens from there will tell us whether we're going to retest highs back at 4,700 or if we're going to fail at 4,400 to 4,450 and then climb lower. So we'll see what happens from there. But for right now, this is a significant tail that has marked the low here, and I believe that that could set in stone a key range that takes us back to the midpoint of the range and gives us our key targets from there, our key inside range pivots and our outside range targets. So this isn't a significant development here, and we'll continue to follow it. Looking at the intraday time frame, you can see how price went offered early in the session, both at 5-day VPOC and the previous close, dropped down below the previous low of the session, came back to that low and was defended for more weakness. And price tested all the key pivots along the way, each of these 100% expansion targets on the PivotBoss pivots. And then what you see at the very end is the market attempting to hold below, rather the 75% pivot there. And when it failed to do so, that higher low there, that started a short squeeze that reversed course all the way back and beyond the day's high. That's a huge bottom event. So I would say a retest back toward 40.90 or even perhaps as low as 40.60. I know that's a wide range. We got to see how it plays out. I would say a pullback. You've got to defend it if you're a responsive bull, because this could be a swing buying opportunity that leads us much, much higher. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out. Good luck and trade well.